Welcome back to another episode of the Block Runner Podcast. I'm your host, William, always here with your co-host, Iman.
What's going on, dude?
And on the 6, we got TJ.
Hello.
All right. So I'm just, I've been getting like 100 different spam messages today, and it's growing. It's getting worse.
Well, this is new for you?
And I block every single one specifically,
Mm.
and they still keep coming.
Yeah.
It's weird. I think we're being attacked here.
I mean, this is old news for me, dude. This is like so a non-issue at this point. I've already adapted to the attack.
Yeah, but
Iman's phone rings all day long, and I've never seen him answer it.
yeah,
I mean, I will not.
you're quite popular, dude.
It's no, definitely not, dude.
Yeah, but I feel like it's getting worse.
For you, it's been this way for me. So I guess, yeah, it's
Yeah, you don't block anything though. You just
No,
kind of
I don't.
like ignore.
Yeah, it's just whatever. My phone is unusable at this point. I don't even think of it as a phone anymore. You know,
It's just a brick.
it's just a distraction device. Is all it is.
It definitely is a distraction.
Device.
Yes.
Just all-time great distraction device, dude.
Yeah. And speaking of distractions, we're starting to see a lot more people talk about the Bitcoin crisis that's looming.
Yeah, we talked about that at the end of our last video, right? Because I don't know, there's a little bit. Man, this space is very bipolar. It's like 1 week things
Yeah.
feel euphoric, kind of, and then the next things feel anti-euphoric.
Yeah, TJ, you asked me, it's like Bitcoin was first time ever like 120, 122 or whatever. You're like, how's it feel, Will? And then I was like,
Yeah, I asked you that under the context. It's just like there's just no hype. Like it keeps going higher and higher, and just nobody cares.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I looked at the price of Bitcoin, price in gold, and it just hasn't reached a new all-time highs, really. And so I don't know if that's like part of why the sentiment is that it's like a nothing burger, but yeah, I mean things are not as interesting as I thought they would be, being here now about a year ago.
yeah, that's interesting. I remember like a couple years ago. You know how we have last cycle we try to predict our Bitcoin tops. You can go
Yeah.
back, look at your trading view chart. You see all your squiggly lines. You see like some
Yeah.
old remnants of like parabolic curves. It's like this is where things are gonna go really crazy,
Yeah.
and it just went the complete other direction.
Yep.
Hence, squiggly lines don't mean anything, and it's probably holy crap. Probably not a good idea to like, I don't know, try and time tops and bottoms and such. But
Yeah.
I remember it's like, all right, we're not gonna get fooled this time,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, we set like a much conservative price target. Like we're talking when Bitcoin was, I don't know, 30, 40, 50K. We were having these conversations on the podcast. It's
Yeah.
like, 120K is probably the logical like exit price. Like
Yeah.
if you're holding Bitcoin, that based on what happened last cycle, you should probably exit around there.
Yeah.
And guess what, dude? We're there
Yeah.
and we're not exiting.
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird.
But it's also not like the reason why we're not exiting isn't because we're euphoric, right? Typically that's what happens. It's like
Yeah.
you're in a state of euphoria, so you tend to like let that overtake your judgment.
Yeah, and also there's this website that I just found on Twitter. I think it's called Glass Node.
Maybe.
Hold on, let me see if I can find it.
Oh yeah, those like indicators.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
30 indicators.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah,
So there's literally like no signs or signals that like we're nearing a top. In other words, right?
yeah. So it's like Bitcoin.
And then if you just go to the timeline of Twitter, crypto Twitter specifically, you see everybody proclaiming it's the top. So it's like, man, this is definitely not what you would expect if it was actually a true top. Right?
Yeah, yeah. So it's called.
So most likely it's not a top. This is just, and then you factor in the inflation and everything. Like, so the value is actually misrepresented,
Mhm.
or the price is a misrepresentation of like the actual, I don't know, like accrued value of Bitcoin in current time. Right?
Yeah, to talk about the price. Yeah, I think everybody's feeling prices of everything going up. right? So you people say Bitcoin's price went up. Is like, well, so did groceries, gas, electricity bill. Everything's going up. And so I think you got to find some sort of basis to actually price things, because if they just keep printing money, yeah, everything's going to go up.
Mm-hmm.
And so what was interesting is that if you price the S&P 500 in gold, it hasn't reached its all-time high since the 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like 20% down.
Gold? Oh, S&P.
S&P price in gold.
Oh, price in gold. Okay, I see.
So 25 years of S&P 500, and you're down 22%.
Wow, that's weird. So what does that mean? She just been buying gold?
Pretty much, yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's really bad. And so S&P 500 is like how people, their strategy to retire is just to buy that thing.
Yeah, but still, it's because like the exit vehicle finance is still the dollar, right? Like, you turn 100 grand into $1 million.
Yeah, but your purchasing power still went down. Is my point.
But no way. It's like $1 million is still $1 million. You could still do a lot with $1 million, right? $1 million today.
Yeah, but $1 million today would get you more 25 years ago.
Of course.
And that's the point. It's like eventually you're going to have everybody's going to be a millionaire, but it's not going to get you much.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, because the number of millionaires also goes up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I mean, money doesn't, I don't know, $1 million can only do so much nowadays. Back in the day, you could do a lot more with it, right? But nonetheless, I don't know. So the Bitcoin price, it's not meshing with like sentiment in the market. So people are left with much more bearish takes, I guess. And then you start to see the increasing awareness of the security budget dilemma. So, we're doing our best to kind of figure out how to position that from like a public awareness perspective, at least to partake and be a part of the conversation. Well, I don't think anybody's really like asking for solutions yet. Right now, it's more of like a grave dancing simulation, right?
Yeah.
It's people on Ethereum like throwing mud at the Bitcoiners. It's like, see.
Yeah, it all depends on how big your bags are, right? If you're holding a lot of ETH, you're going to grave dance. If you're holding a lot of Bitcoin, you're going to deny problems and ignore problems.
That's what I was going to say. In response to these Ethereum poop flingers, it's like there is no problem. Like you're just making up a
FUD vector
scare tactics.
Yep.
So that people can, sell their Bitcoin and buy ETH, which some mega whale recently did do.
Yep.
I don't think it was necessarily because of that.
No, it wasn't.
I think it was more like the staking opportunity or something. I don't know. Something Tom Lee said maybe triggered the sell button.
Yeah, it's just maybe the upside is higher for ETH in the short term.
It's literally what Tom Lee is saying.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not a stretch to see like some, wealthy Bitcoin whale would take on that risk. But nonetheless, so yeah, nobody's really proposing any real new solutions.
No. And part of our, like, I guess, responsibility is, like, whenever you ask AI, what are the possible solutions to the Bitcoin subsidy issue or the security issue, it comes up with some solutions, but it doesn't mention a NAT at all.
It doesn't. Yeah.
And so we need to work on our AI SEO. And so the way you do that is you write articles on Twitter, write generic articles like on Substack, things like that.
Yeah.
And we need the community to write articles as well. Like, have your own interpretation of what NAT is, and then it'll get picked up by the AI.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's just pure articles, and I guess it factors in how many times these articles are probably referenced in like other tweets and stuff like that. So there's a very tricky algorithm here at play, but nonetheless, it starts at getting more information like cemented out there, which is what we're doing. We're working on making some changes, I guess, to NatGMI, right? To, I guess, wrap a much more cohesive explanation.
Yeah, so
Nat.
It's not live yet, but if you guys are watching this on YouTube, you can see that there's a link here called the Nat paper, and then here you'll just go through and it'll break down everything of describing the problem of Bitcoin, how the solution of NAT actually addresses the problem specifically, and then it addresses the problem in a way where it doesn't require Bitcoin core changes, doesn't require like soft forks or anything like that. And so we really broke it down from like first principles perspective on like what is the problem, and you know the most simplest solution tends to be the one that works out the best.
Yeah, I guess it can be in the context of Bitcoin, right? Because you don't want to disrupt almost anything when it comes to Bitcoin at this point, right?
Yeah, and the solutions being offered for now for the crisis is things that defy the point of Bitcoin, which is like expanding the 21 million supply, demurrage, which is essentially taxing everybody holding Bitcoin, which, you know, I wouldn't even understand how to do that technically because you need private keys.
Right.
So it was like, what does that mean?
Right.
And then the last one, I think was long tail. Well, the long tail emissions then is the demurrage, and then the last one was I think fees being
basically like taking dormant Bitcoin.
Oh yeah,
right?
burning dormant Bitcoin and then issuing that as part of the.
Yeah, but how do you even like do that? How do you pull that off?
I think from the software perspective, you just ignore the first set of blocks.
Oh wow!
You just ignore them.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts. So yeah, all these are, I don't know, obviously high points of contention.
They're counter religion, dude.
Yeah. But there's others, you know, Adam Back himself, I think, said a couple others. There's some sort of
some hardware requirement where you buy future ASICs that ignore past blocks, and you can only mine from today's block moving forward. That way you can't hoard so much power and then just pick a specific block in the past and then start mining from there. And hopefully it creates a longer chain and therefore reorganizes everything and ignores everything that's happened in the past up to that point.
Yeah, so logistically that would just require like a whole
hardware adjustment, which is kind of weird.
Could happen though, right? If
it
there's
could.
enough consensus in the industry of mining, it's like, this is the way to do it.
So here's the problem, right? If we don't have adequate solutions, the best of the worst one is going to win. And so we're talking about having an infinite supply of Bitcoin.
Yeah, that can happen.
Yeah, it can.
Just because, like, if there's so much value interpretation hinged to the scarcity component for Bitcoin itself, right? Like that is a well understood, well agreed upon, you know, notable distinguishing value factor that doesn't exist in most other assets in the market, right? So because of that, you know, you wouldn't want to demonstrate that you could just, you know, per the click of a button, disrupt that, change that. It's like Bitcoin isn't actually this immutable, unbreakable,
correct,
like very closely mirrored thing to physics as it's being portrayed to be. Like if we could all just agree to like change it forever, like then there's no truth to anything. It's the Fugazi is up. Right?
Yeah,
so you can't do that.
Yeah, that number go down only.
I would imagine, at least for who knows how X amount of time, in order for people to rebuild their conviction. And it's like, okay, that was just like a blip in the storyline. It's we could finagle with code actually, but still, you know, Bitcoin's still powerful, and you know, there's still a lot of miners in the network. It's still secured, all that stuff.
Yeah,
number go back up, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, another solution I've seen, which is also viable, but to me seems unlikely, is that countries are going to run Bitcoin at a loss because they have a vested interest to continue running the network, and they don't want to be censored by China and others. And so they're going to put up in front the cash to pay for the network, even though there's no subsidy, or the cost of attack is so high that you're not profitable running the network.
I see.
And so you run at a loss. But the problem with that is that even if you're running it, you know, altruistically at a loss, technology will still improve. And if you're running at a loss, you're going to have to run it at a bigger loss because someone else with capital will come in and buy the cheap technology, buy the fusion energy, and they will outcompete the losers out there.
Yeah.
And you're still going to get screwed.
Right.
And the United States, what are they supposed to do? Just buy up the cheap hardware again, upgrade their network, sink more capital to try to increase the cost of attack.
Right.
And so that it's not sustainable either.
Yeah, so you can see we're in quite the like exercise here of like, okay, so this is so let's all agree there's a looming potential crisis at least worth talking about, right?
Yeah.
Like whether you agree to it or not, I think it's worthy of a conversation. So then, okay, we agree. So if this is a real problem and fees don't just like magically, realign with the incentive thesis of Bitcoin, right? Then what are we to do about it? So there's a ton of outlined proposals already in existence, but all we're simply doing and trying to get people to understand is there is like you're saying, a very minimal risk proposition in implementing an additional subsidy token that is properly aligned with the ethos of Bitcoin itself.
Yeah,
right?
correct.
Preserving all the notable principles along with
it. So we were having this conversation yesterday. I mean, it got pretty deep. We were supposed to be working, but we were like going deep into this.
Well, it's like part of it, right?
It is part of it.
You have to understand the thing, right? It's like we're always in a constant state of that. It's like furthering our own understanding of what it is we're working on.
Yeah,
it's kind of like I would imagine if you're working on the first atom bomb.
Yeah, you're always going to be talking about it.
Yeah, you start to really realize like implications down the line.
That's true.
You probably when you first start the project, you probably don't know full scope and scale of like what it is you're bringing into the universe, right? It's like, until somebody deploys the damn thing, and you see 50,000 people vaporize in an instant. It's like, oh shit,
we should have done it first. We should have done it first to them.
Well, we did.
Well, I know. Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
And therefore, it didn't happen to Americans.
Right. I'm saying from like the scientist, what's his name? Oppenheimer,
yeah.
That's when you experience like deep regret. So I don't know if we're going to, at some point in the future, experience deep regret. It's like, man, we shouldn't have let this cat out the bag, like you say.
Yeah. Yeah. And, we were talking about the fact that Bitcoin spawned 100,000 other cryptocurrencies, 10,000 other chains, and that Bitcoin maxis hate that because as a result of spawning these other chains, you bifurcate the liquidity. And we have let's say $4 trillion crypto ecosystem.
Yeah.
But half of it is in these shit arenas.
Mm-hmm.
And the other half is in Bitcoin.
Yeah, from the perspective of a Bitcoin maxi, right?
Yeah, and so if we could have it the Bitcoin maxi way, there would be no shit chains and $4 trillion Bitcoin network.
Yeah, literally no other assets, no other digital commodities other than Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
And therefore it, under that scenario, which is like 0% probability, if you understand like the contextual history of human beings, it's unlikely. If it's a replicable thing, it's going to be replicated.
Yeah.
Right? So
humanity just takes a new technology and they do whatever they want with it. And so it is a natural occurrence. Mm-hmm. And so then I was asking you, like, can Bitcoin, if let's say NAT works and that is, one, has a ratio of 10 to 1, right? Value of Bitcoin to support the network security wise. Does that take away from Bitcoin or does it add to Bitcoin? I asked you.
Yeah, it depends on what you interpret as like Bitcoin. I guess we have a different lens to Bitcoin. It's like there's Bitcoin, like the actual tangible asset in a sense.
Yeah.
And then there's Bitcoin.
The network.
Right? Yeah, whatever. The force.
Yeah.
The force that is being conjured up by humanity's like energy contributions and value aggregation, all of that, right? Like it's to me there's a separation there, and the force itself is the real value. Bitcoin of course has its own value, but I think you can spin off other different components of value along with that, right? And therefore making the whole economic loop of Bitcoin more sustainable, right? And if you understand like economics, it's typically not like a one pony show. It's a very complex, weave of different dynamics within a market in order to create something that's sustainable, right? So I think it's logical to assume like Bitcoin as a coin wouldn't have ever been enough to like sustain anything indefinitely from like an economics perspective, right? You need to inject more vehicles that can contribute, more levers within the ecosystem that make things more sustainable in the long run, right? But yeah, so we had to think about this, I guess, because, part of NAT succeeding is the fact that you need the value to go up, like you're saying, to achieve its results.
Yeah, and ultimately, if the security isn't there, the value of Bitcoin is meaningless. It's moot, right? If you could just attack the network and all of a sudden reorg the chain or edit some transactions, censor it, no one is going to use the network to store their value. And so just Bitcoin going up, having Bitcoin be infinity dollars isn't enough to secure the chain either. It's like, it's crazy if you think about it that way. Like having Bitcoin worth infinity dollars is not enough to secure the chain. And so you need some sort of countermeasure that allows for the I guess the measurement of the security based on the price and against the technology that's being developed. Because if the technology develops as it has been for the last 100 years, and things get cheaper as they have been, and technology progresses to the point where even electricity becomes a commodity and it's very, very cheap, then you need a counterforce to allow existing miners to acquire this asset to continue securing the network. Because as time goes on, the subsidy halves every 4 years, and there is not enough security budget to continue purchasing these cheaper assets. And so if you can't purchase these cheaper assets, someone else on the planet will, and they will attack the network. And so we've seen this happen with Monero, right? Cubic attacked the network, and they incentivize other miners to include themselves in this attack. And they were successful for like 6 blocks, and then they deactivated it.
Yeah.
And so in this description here, there's a section called the case study of 51% attack on Monero. And then here's one of the quotes from that study. It says, the Cubic experiment successfully proved incentives dictate consensus. Any proof of work chain can be attacked and controlled by providing superior economic incentives to its miners. And so eventually, I mean, we'll share this link in the description, but essentially this is saying that if you don't properly incentivize the miners to run the network, they will attack the network because it is more profitable to do so.
Yeah.
Like this isn't an altruistic thing. People aren't going to run Bitcoin because it's the right thing to do. Incentives dictate consensus. And it's been like that since the dawn of humanity.
Right.
We're incentivized to work together so we can survive. And so, I mean, it's, to me, we're seeing more people talk about this problem, but to me, it's still surprising that this isn't like the thing to be discussing all over.
All over? What do you mean?
All over. Yeah, because if Bitcoin fails, what does it mean for everything else?
Well, yeah, that's true. But that's not something I think a lot of people are willing to, I guess, acknowledge.
Yeah.
In a sense.
Well, people aren't aware of the problem. They're just not paying attention.
Yeah, so I don't know. There's a little bit of like a fine line here of like we don't want to become, or I don't know,
alarmists, like global warmist,
fear mongers.
Yeah,
it's definitely going to start coming across that way. It's like we're here debating a title at the top. It's like Bitcoin's ticking time bomb. I was like, dude, that sounds kind of I don't know, man. It's like, how do you partake in this conversation without it's just
coming off as like fear mongering, and that we have some
is that like required? Do you need to execute on those communication tactics in order to get people to wake up, right? Is it one of those things?
I think for the most part people aren't aware of the problem. They don't think there is a problem just because of this idea of like the difficulty adjustment, just adjusting, right? You just turn off miners and the difficulty adjusts. Like that's how you solve it. It's like, no, that has nothing to do with the problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is a common thing I've seen.
Yeah.
You know, people who are just complacent.
Yeah. Yeah. So we were talking about, we're putting our minds into Satoshi. And the reason why the problem exists right now is because Bitcoin was designed to be a peer-to-peer cash. It was designed for people to use the network on a daily basis for transactions.
Yeah.
And so that if it had worked out that way, then yeah, Bitcoin would be sustainable because it would be a lot of transactions and transaction fees happening.
Yeah, I feel like in the early days though, like I think there was a bit more of like an altruistic approach to like who was actually coming into the network, much more so at least than today, right? I think for sure like the dynamics of greed kind of like has overtaken like the who are the participants within this network. But yeah,
you say greed and you're not wrong, but it's just incentives.
Yeah. Well, but yeah, because if you read the white paper, there's a very small section that's labeled incentive, and it's literally like a paragraph long. There wasn't that much thought put into why you should be, participating here. I mean, of course, there's a subsidy, right? And then during the early periods of mining, you were being heavily rewarded in comparison to miners of today with like a bigger allocation of the pie, whatever. But there was no like real explanation as to like, where's the value for Bitcoin going to be derived, right?
Yeah, and we were talking about this again. Where's the value derived? What's the fundamental value? It's like, well, there's so much energy being expended here to mine these Bitcoins. So therefore, the energy expenditure is what backs the value of Bitcoin. And I was like, yeah, that's makes sense. Mm-hmm. However, from the inflection point from 0 to 1, what gave people the motivation to run the network in the first place?
Yeah, like it wasn't an obvious thing that this is going to be like wildly valuable in the future. There was no evidence or data to suggest that. It was.
They postulated it could, but Satoshi says like it's better to have some in case it takes off.
Yeah. Yeah, he did so by equating like, existing like overall value in the financial system. And it's like if Bitcoin is like a, some interpretable, I don't know, like evolution of that. So like whatever that value is divided by 21 million.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And that's your value per Bitcoin. I think it was something like 40 million per Bitcoin.
43 million, something like that. So
so
at the time it was the value of like assets divided by 21 million, and it was 43 million.
Yeah, so it's like in the non-0% chance that like Bitcoin literally swallows the earth, like all value of things.
Yep.
Why not? Let's just remove the financialization of like real estate, the financialization of everything. It's just Bitcoin is just this new primitive that we root all value to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then it's probably worth spinning up a miner.
Yeah, just
in case.
Flip on that 1999 laptop.
That floppy disk.
Yeah, dust out that floppy disk.
Yeah, dude.
Run the code.
Get this thing going. Yeah. And you're making some Bitcoin, and who knows? It might be the best decision you ever made. And so far he turned out to be correct.
Yeah, and so when you boil all that stuff away, people had to believe.
Yeah, and my thinking, because I obviously wasn't around I was around, but I wasn't
paying attention
in the trenches of Bitcoin in 2010.
You weren't in the trenches of cryptography.
No, but I was in the trenches of libertarianism. 2008 election, I was very much in favor of this ideal of the idealistic interpretation of like, more self-sovereignty, less government intervention in things, and Ron Paul was my candidate, dude. Mm-hmm. That was the first time I got to vote, and I wanted Ron Paul as my guy in 2008 and 2012. And I remember, I think during the 2012 elections, whenever Bitcoin started becoming part of the conversation, because he was like one of the only candidates running at the time who accepted Bitcoin as like a campaign contribution, right? So in my mind, Bitcoin represents an ideal, right? Like it's something unlike everything else that exists in finance, or like something outside the grips of institutional control, right? At least at that time. It feels like in this day and age, it's getting more and more within the grips of institutional control, but it's on its way there.
Which is also inevitable, and you kind of want it because I mean institutions are also backed by humans, right? They're run by humans, so.
But I think like that, those core ideals is really what attracted those early participants to Bitcoin. I would imagine, right? And like that is where the conviction and the belief kind of originated from. The root of the belief, why people thought Bitcoin would be valuable.
Yeah, so
around those tenets.
So those people who believed in it hard enough and they understood like what they had to do to support the network, they had to buy some laptops, maybe some GPUs, and they had to run the network, be technically capable to do so, right? Mm-hmm. So there was some sort of expenditure to begin the increase in value of Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. And so NAT runs no differently. It is a belief. Just like Bitcoin is a belief, and most things in humanity, they're all belief systems, right? Family is a belief system, religion, it just goes on. And so NAT is no different. And so if you understand the problem and you understand how NAT addresses that problem, and you believe that is a sufficient enough to solve the problem, then that means you believe in NAT, and therefore you would have the expenditure to acquire the NAT token. And in doing so, with a critical mass, number go up. And as number go up, it solves the problem. And as in the recognition of the solution of the problem, people buy more NAT tokens, and, you have this circular reinforcement.
Flywheel, right?
Yeah.
Flywheel of belief.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
Ben Pasternak wish he could, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got the believe. We got the real believe coin over here, dude.
That's right.
Yeah, you're right. It's just, it really is that simple if you think about it. And, is it really that big of a stretch to assume enough people will understand that this is a real problem and, identify NAT as the most optimally positioned solution to it, and something that I can get exposure to, right? In the context of other cryptocurrencies that function under the same parameters of value discovery, like meme coins, for example. We've seen
meme coins operate no differently.
Everything, like you're saying, Bitcoin, Ethereum, everything, and breach to the barriers of crypto in this conversation. Just anything that anybody deems valuable, whether it's like a brand. Yeah,
Charizard.
I mean, that's pretty undebatable, dude. You can't fade Charizard at all, dude. But you're right. Like, you could build a conviction thesis, a value thesis, and basically anything, right? And that's what we do so well as human beings. We're continually on a lifelong journey, like doing exactly that.
Yeah.
Like, what is in these things that I identify my value with? Like, that becomes part of my core persona, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, in Bitcoin's case, a lot of people, including you, that is part of your core persona at this point.
Yeah,
it is.
Say? It's so deep.
It's pretty deep in there.
It's so deep that some of my family members do not like me.
I wonder why, dude. It's not because it's like every family meeting is like a seminar.
It's like here it comes again.
Could you imagine Will showing up to a family event in his Bitcoin shirt and they're like, "Oh, this guy again."
I think that's exactly what's going on. Dude.
It's like, what's the update with Bitcoin this time? It's like,
you're literally that guy trying to save everyone's soul. Right?
I'm just trying to save everybody, dude.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. So you've seen so much value in Bitcoin, right?
Yeah. Even and I was telling you again, so this is the offline conversation. I was telling you is like, even if Bitcoin fails and something else supplants it just because people just ignored the NAT token and just such a reasonable solution. And they went with something like, let's make 21 million into infinity, right? Oof. That was the consensus, and Bitcoin just fails. I'm okay with it. I'm actually okay with it, and because I have deep beliefs in Bitcoin, but I'm also very pragmatic. I'm very practical about it.
Yeah.
And I can see a problem in something that I believe in. And so much so that, I felt inclined to contribute to the solution. And I feel like when a network gets big enough, I feel like the immune response to a potential problem happens naturally.
Yeah.
And so we're just part of the immune system. The other solutions are part of the immune system. They're offering a potential avenue to solve the problem. It's just that when there's a viable solution that doesn't get enough attention, those that do get attention, those are the only options, really.
Yeah. Yeah, but the thing that's super cool about NAT and makes it so attractive is it's the fact that it gets to operate under these same functions of the belief capture of like other cryptocurrencies, right? It's an actual, again, vehicle, because that's what cryptos are. They're alignment vessels. Right?
Yeah.
Whether it's alignment in building a new company, like a new project, a new protocol, a new blockchain, whatever. We're all in this together so long as we hold this token. We're all aligned under this common mission, this common ethos, whatever. Same thing with Bitcoin. We're all here to solve the money problem.
Yeah.
So, yeah, none of the other solutions are going to have that superpower advantage, right? Like this is actually something we can get grassroots, which we're already kind of witnessing. There's quite a community grassroots effort to perpetuate this understanding. Like if you go to any of these people having these conversations, just read the replies. There's the NAT force is present.
Yeah.
Always. It's like, well, hey guys, it's like, start talking about this as another potential solution to this problem.
Yeah. I mean, I do invite everybody who's thinking about the problem to look into NAT and read upon it, understand, its premise of digital matter theory. Just look into it. And then think about it from like a game theory perspective. Why wouldn't this work? Mm-hmm. And we were trying to put ourselves in Satoshi's shoes back in the day, 2008, 2009 timeframe. And Satoshi just arbitrarily just said that Bitcoin would have every 4 years. And when he did that, he started with an arbitrary number, 21 million. What would happen if you halved it every 4 years? Turns out it ends in 2140. He was like, okay, I got 120 years. That's long enough. And so that was it. And then humans got a hold of Bitcoin and they, in one way or another, corrupted it, made it better, in my opinion, as a store of value. I think that's the most applicable way to use Bitcoin as a store of value. But as a result, the design conflicts with the store of value narrative. And so had he thought, it's like, what if he made the emission still 21 million, but go for 2,000 years? And then it's unlikely we'd be talking about a problem here.
Yeah, because it's just that much further away.
It's just that much further away, yeah.
It's like outside the bounds of like our human reasoning potential for to see like impending, dangers. It's like our brains don't even need to like really consider it.
Yeah, and ultimately it's so much time that it doesn't seem like it would be a problem within any realm of like discussion, right? So I think that if Satoshi had really thought about it more, he would have done something like that. Because and it's important to think about it from this perspective too, because it's very unlikely someone like Satoshi and team, and maybe there's more of them.
Unlikely, but yeah.
Yeah, it's maybe they would have thought about all the problems and all the solutions and then implemented what they thought was best. But it's very unlikely you design Bitcoin and release it and like that's the most optimal version of it. And so if you go back in time, I mean, Satoshi made a ton of updates to Bitcoin. I think it like 30 updates before it was like it is what it is today, roughly, right? Without SegWit and all that stuff. So it's very unlikely somebody's going to get this thing right the first time. And so the good thing about humanity is that they step up, they figure out some solutions. And like I said, the solution that the NAT offers is so innocuous that all it takes is belief and you solve the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. In the sense like, it's once we get to the point where, it's open source and, totally available for anybody to come in and contribute to
Yeah.
like hosting this individually, right? Then yeah, it's just a factor of, again, organic community efforts and representing what you're talking about is like a full-fledged immune response to the problem. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be, I don't know, embraced by everybody, but it's still nonetheless addressing, the core issue as long as the value keeps going up. And it doesn't take much, dude. I think we've run those theoretical simulations.
Mhm.
It doesn't take much for at least to get to the point where you're at the transaction fee level, right? Which everybody is really
Correct.
that's the first milestone because that's what people are looking to, because that is the expected saving grace to the budget crisis in the future.
Yeah.
So if you don't
Yeah.
see that value start to inverse anytime soon, like it just makes that problem seem that much more, I guess, urgent.
Yeah, so I think it takes about $1 billion market cap to reach about $1,000 per block in NAT value.
Yeah. So right now the average fee is like maybe 2,000,
Mm-hmm.
3,000 tops, and it's on a pretty steep decline.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, I guess you can attribute that to all the OTC activity, I guess. I don't know. Ordinals aren't really picking up like they used to, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the result of that is just a continued decline in the fee. So that just makes the problem that much more obvious. And again, that is the reason why it's becoming louder and louder and louder, right? Which
Yeah, and it's pretty easy to ignore NAT too because there's so many shit coins out there.
yeah, but yeah,
And it's so our brains are inclined not to do the effort. We're inclined to just not look into it, right? And so when you see a shit coin out there and you ignore it, you tend to be right on average, right? So, but something like this, it's the burden is on the people to like do the research and come to the same conclusions that we have.
sounds like Bitcoin, dude.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so many people right now, after 16 years, are still fading Bitcoin. Still.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think if you're that, then you're just forever
Yeah.
not going to get it, I think. Not going to make it.
Well, you know what? I mean, Bitcoin gets as big as we think it's going to get. Everybody's going to have some degree of exposure to it, whether through a 401k or, it's the new S&P 500, whatever it is.
Yeah, but that's like an imposition, right? Like,
Yeah,
you never
for
had to like
Make a decision.
Yeah, you never had to agree
Yeah.
with the value thesis.
That's right.
But that's the important thing to point out. But enough people did,
Yeah.
right? It hit enough of a critical mass, whether that's 3 to 5% of humans on Earth.
Yeah.
They're all in agreement that this Bitcoin thing is a tremendously valuable component to like the future of our, I don't know, species economic endeavors moving forward. So
Yeah.
that's all it took to get it to the point where now it's like on its way to deep ingrainment
Yeah.
at a societal structural level, right? A foundational pillar to the future of finance. So now it's imposed on the rest of us, whether we like it or not. Kind of like money,
Yeah. That's right.
kind of like that, right?
Yeah. The fiat system was imposed by us.
Yeah.
It was so imposed that most people don't even question it.
Exactly. Yeah, I think Bitcoin is going to follow a similar trajectory, right? But in light of that, it makes these concerns even that much more important, right? Like, figuring out these actual potential, I don't know, like systemically impactful dilemmas, right? Because we were talking about the cubic Monero thing. It's like, okay, yeah, it was like a few day long crisis within the Monero community.
Yeah, barely a few days, just a few blocks, really.
Yeah, but assume the same scenario happened like in context of
The Bitcoin?
Bitcoin. What would that actually do, right?
Man.
Well, it depends on who's actually like attacking it, right?
Well, I think if anyone successfully attacks Bitcoin and does a 51% attack, I think it's pretty much over.
You think it's over?
I mean, maybe not necessarily over, but man, it's like your belief is really tested.
Yeah, it's over to the point where, you're seeing all these, like, it would be a sell-off of all sell-offs to the point where, all these over-leveraged companies and such,
Yeah.
or, all these different financial vehicles that are
Yeah.
leveraging Bitcoin, they would start to topple, right?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
So it's a systemic risk, in other words.
Yeah. Yeah, we're in a tough situation because we feel like we have like these metrics, we have these requirements like in terms of design and solving the problem that it gets kind of complex. I mean, if you thought Bitcoin was complicated to understand, a lot of people have trouble understanding DMT. And the origin story of DMT plus the origin story of the NAT token. And so it's pretty easy to just ignore stuff because, like I said, we're inclined to do that. But once you look into it, you'll learn that NAT was a completely free and fair distribution. You had to inscribe a JSON into Bitcoin's blockchain. At the time, let's assume it was 800,000 blocks just to make it easy. So people had to inscribe 800,000 pieces of JSON into Bitcoin. And when you do that, you have to pay a transaction fee. So if you add the transaction fees of everything that was inscribed for the NAT token, it ended up around $5 million. And 100% of the $5 million went to miners who won the block for those inscriptions. And so the origin story of NAT is paying miners $5 million for the NAT token to exist in the first place. Like there's no VC allocation, there's no team.
Yeah.
And if you go look at Tapolytics and you look at the one address that holds the most, they barely hold 1% of the supply. Barely. It's like 1.1%, 1.12%.
Right.
And that's the biggest holder. And they've been holding it since inscription days.
Yeah, almost 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their balance hasn't changed at all.
Yeah.
And so that guy, whoever he is, I don't know who he is, but he inscribed this thousands and thousands of times.
It must have been a pretty interesting 7 days.
Yeah.
Because that's how long it took, right?
That's how long it took for all 800,000
all blocks to be claimed, all those JSONs to be.
Yeah. And so not only that, 20,000 people did the same thing.
Yeah.
And so just off the rip, there was 20,000 holders off of this asset, which at the time had no implication on the subsidy issue.
It's true. Yeah.
It was just a representation of DMT. It's like, here's something you can do with Bitcoin, something different you can do with Bitcoin.
Yeah, here's substance.
Yeah, right.
Literally the Big Bang, right? This is the proof of concept that Bitcoin can be utilized as like an asset manifestation engine, right?
Yeah.
Which is like, in my opinion, the bigger picture idea behind all this. So NAT obviously has like a tremendous value potential in itself. Just solving like one of Bitcoin's, or at least contributing, having a complementary part in sustaining miner incentives.
Yeah,
indefinitely. But the real big breakthrough is I think flipping the utility of a proof of work blockchain like Bitcoin itself into something
useful.
Well, I mean, yeah, something more useful, more
yeah.
verticals of usefulness that can, again, contribute to this understanding of how value is even manifested within the crypto space, right? We've seen $2 trillion of value around Bitcoin and another $2 trillion around everything else in crypto, right? So that's a tremendously valuable space. And if you can redesign Bitcoin's, I guess, utility to be like a substrate for the creation of things that now is at a $2 trillion overall value, simulate that same, human practice, but under the lens of DMT. It's like, that's a theoretical value proposition, on top of NAT in itself.
Yeah.
That can be directed towards this network that so desperately needs new incentives, right?
Yeah, 100%. So NAT is just the first representation of the DMT framework. But what you're saying is, if the community uses this framework, we're talking about a multi-billion-dollar offering for miners, because people would be using the network itself to make the transactions. And if not using the network, they're paying for the provenance of the data itself to the network.
Right.
And so we're talking about such a long-term sustainability solution here that it's really hard to really grasp. And so I think people are going to have a hard time / a long time wrapping their minds around this stuff.
Yeah, but that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Right? I feel like this is what people are asking for. I'm seeing on the timeline, people are desperate for innovation, desperately seeking
Yeah.
something new, something Elon said it himself. Things need to radically change in order for us to experience a new 100x upside in these markets. Like,
Yeah.
so he's like, let me cook. You know, he has his own interpretation of a radical, change.
Mm-hmm.
We have ours too.
Yeah.
Right? And from our point of view, this is as radical as things can get in the context of
Watch Elon just start a podcast, and that's it. That's like the radical change.
that's what Ben is doing. Ben Pasternak,
Yeah.
the Believe guy. He started a podcast.
That's a weird decision.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's we have a podcast. What's so weird about it, dude? I feel like it's another prediction we made. Is like you're gonna have to at some point. This is the better mode of communication than like Twitter articles or Twitter threads
or spaces.
I guess spaces are okay, but
they're okay. It's just gets kind of long.
Yeah, it gets kind of long. It just starts to ramble.
It rambles, yeah.
It just, I don't know. I don't know. Podcasting is not perfect either, but it should be incorporated into if you're going to try and explain something like in full scope and scale, like, this is the perfect medium to do that, I think.
Yeah, not only that, YouTube, if you're podcasting on YouTube, they do a really good job of giving out the transcripts. You can take it, copy and paste it into ChatGPT.
Yeah.
It's like, give me a summary in, 5 points.
Yeah.
And you got the gist of the conversation. So yeah, I do agree. The podcast is one of the ways. It's just,
yeah, you don't have to.
Yeah.
It's not to say like, if you don't have a podcast, like numbers should go down or anything like that.
It could happen one day.
Okay, maybe.
It's like everybody's launching a token. They have to launch a podcast at the same time.
Or be a streamer.
Yeah, or be a streamer.
Yeah.
And then that will give you a good idea as like whether or not this token's for real.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised it's not more of that. Like you show your face.
Yeah.
But I get it too. It's like the preservation of the anonymous ethos.
Yeah.
You don't want to force everybody who's trying to do anything to like have to dox themselves. But I think that's a clear advantage, at least from our core. We had nothing to hide, dude.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, back to
the radical changes.
The radicalization of I feel like this is what people are asking for, or they feel deep within is like something like this needs to occur in order to again kind of like start over. It feels like the whole industry needs a fresh start of some kind.
Yeah,
that's how I feel, at least. It's it's just so much.
Yeah, we spent years, over this like cycle that we've had. We spent years looking for something new, and not a whole lot popped up.
Yeah, and then all the things that were like the new things, they're starting to crumble. Like the metaverse, for example, Sandbox. They're completely pivoting away. That was like the unicorn of the Web3 metaverse sector.
Yeah.
The champion horse of like, what you can do with NFTs and fungible tokens and building digital economies around all that stuff and user generated content, like had all the right fundamental pillars, but ultimately a failed proposition, right?
Yeah. I mean, the metaverse is very expensive to build, but with the advent of the AI apocalypse, it's significantly cheaper. And I've been using AI pretty extensively, and it's pretty great.
Yeah.
Like, it's the greatest thing, really.
Correct.
And it makes people that are not very useful very useful. As long as you're motivated and inclined to like use the tools.
Yeah, and if you like know what you're
trying to go
what you're after.
Yeah.
That's the real crux of it all. Like you can have these tools, but if you don't have like any self inclination as to like what it is you need to be seeking as like as a desirable output from AI, then it's like it's a non-starter for you. Really.
Yeah.
So that's the differentiator, right? So long as you have some sort of visionary capability,
a creator, like a creative aspect to yourself.
Yeah, you're living in good times.
Yeah.
Or you're
this is great.
you're entering into good times because this is just the start, right? It's
Yeah.
gonna get way better from here.
You know, I felt like I really missed out not becoming a computer science major because, like I said before, I've had this symphony in my head without any ability to write music.
Mm-hmm.
And with AI, I'm writing a lot of music these days.
You got some bangers out there, dude?
It's a lot of bangers.
Well, when are you gonna drop the big one, dude?
Check out his SoundCloud.
We're waiting for the big album drop, dude. We've
Yeah.
been teasing this album, bro. You're becoming the Playboy
true.
Cardi of fucking of Web3 app developers, dude. You're like just blue balling everybody, man. It's like we've been telling them, it's like in a couple weeks we'll be able to tell you more.
Yeah, brace yourselves.
Couple weeks come, it's like, all right, wait another month, guys.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, you're literally teasing us all, dude.
Yeah, the devil's in the detail. It's always that. You think the core is done. Like let's say when you're building an app, just like just an app, the core of it is done, but really 50% of the time is in the details.
Yeah, I mean I understand that, and I like this parallel between like, you know, music and you know, creating an app or creating some new tech or whatever, and that's kind of what I mean by like radical. You know, a lot of the things that exist in this market, you know, we call them metas, right? Different market metas, where there's internet capital markets, or you know, 1 month it's you know, just pure meme coins, another it could be NFTs or whatever. These are the market metas of the time that kind of shift the dynamics of what people find interesting and valuable. It's fluid.
Yeah.
In the same way music is very fluid, right? Some point in time, some people they like rock and roll. Not so much today.
Yeah.
You know, the meta is like trap rap or whatever.
So true. That is a good parallel.
Yeah, and at some point it's like EDM music just took over. All of a sudden everyone's like, that used to be like a pure European thing, and then all of a sudden Americans
They co-opted
they're
it.
raving and stuff, dude. They're up there like shining lights and such. It's
Right.
pretty weird, but there's some very similar parallels there. Which
Yeah.
and I feel like what this DMT thing is, it's like we're releasing a new genre of music, right?
That's perfect.
That's
dude.
what it feels like to me. He's like, we're working on. I don't know what's cool.
On
Emo music.
psychedelic
It's making a comeback, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're releasing screamo or dubstep. Nah, what's like the best, dude?
Like a psychedelic type of sound.
Yeah, fucking yeah. We're in the '60s.
Crypto.
era. Crypto.
Ooh.
I like that, dude.
Yeah.
Let's trip on some crypto. A psychedelic era. You know, the deep dive rabbit hole into like, you know, the trenches of blockchain.
Yeah, finally.
And we're creating a whole new wave of resonance with that.
Dude, I'm ready for some new music. I'm kind of
Ah.
done with this.
With this lame-o stuff.
It's very lame.
It's arbitrary lameness.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Like it's like we're working on a new album drop.
They send it over to mastering.
Yeah. We're getting Pharrell and Timberland and you know what's his name, Rick Rubin, to like do their last checks on it, make sure it's like super hot,
Yeah.
and then we're gonna drop it on everyone's face pretty soon. And then, you know, once it drops, we're gonna know if we hit the Billboard charts or not.
Yeah,
dude.
that's right.
That's kind of like it feels very similar, right? If we were like a band cooking something up.
Dude, it's exactly the same thing.
Yeah, just a different industry, right? Different mode of human activity, entertainment, whatever.
Yeah, I feel a lot cooler now.
You're welcome, dude. That's what I'm here for. Just
Well,
amp with the cool factor.
Taylor Swift's album is dropping this year too, so you got to beat her.
Fudge,
Oh,
dude.
no.
It's ruined. She just got married too, dude. You know she's got bangers in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're screwed.
Yeah. All right, well, that's it for us. And if you're interested in what we're building, you're going to have to hold on a little bit longer.
I am music, dude. If you understand that reference, you're literally Playboy Cardi right now.
That's how it is, dude.
Blue balling people, dude.
You're going to have to wait.
That's fine.
All right, but if you've like had any thoughts on the NAT token solving the issues of Bitcoin's subsidy crisis, you think you have a better solution, or maybe there's another solution out there that we're not aware of, please put it in the comment section below. Other than that, I appreciate you for watching, and we'll catch you in the next podcast.
Peace.